you're all very welcome along to Series 4, Episode 13 of Champ.ie's Road to Cheltenham Challenge, brought to you in association with Boylesports, Gowran Park Racecourse, Syndicates.Racing and KCLR 96 FM. Talking all things Cheltenham, the top performances over these 7 days, and answering your hashtag big questions every Monday. Barry and Ronan will once again go head to head by giving one Ante-Post selection each week until the 2024 festival in March.
As they come up the hill with Bill away, keeping at it in third place and gaining on them with 150 yards to go. They're very tired, it's on the line. Here's Bill away from an unpromising position. Walking in third is Ramillies. It's on the line from Bill away the near side. This finish wasn't anticipated. It's on the line from Bill away.
Showing over 44 points profit from 132 point stake since 2020, the Champ.ie Road to Cheltenham Challenge show is this season bidding to secure 4 years of Ante-Post profit in a row. The lads look forward to discussing your Week 13 selections, and don't forget it's important to update your full Ante-Post portfolio in the comments to help us keep track. Give this video a like for more Cheltenham content, and be sure to subscribe to the Champ.ie YouTube channel, Ireland's premier horse racing podcast. Enjoy the show.
Boylesports. Don't just bet, choose wisely.
So, hello and welcome back to episode number 13 of the Road to Cheltenham Challenge with myself and the Doyle and Groome. It is, of course, Red Mills Week at Gowran Park, proudly in association, of course, the podcast with Gowran Park Racecourse, premier racecourse in the southeast of Ireland, KCLR radio station. Boylesports, our betting partner, and Syndicates.Racing. Doyle and Groome, what a week it's been. We've got loads of clues, of course, with Gordon Elliott and Willie Mullins' stable tour. You were down in the Lower Bagnall yesterday, and we look forward to being in person at Gowran Park on Saturday as well. Big week upcoming.
Very much. It's getting closer now to the festival. You know, when the Red Mills rolls around, you're pretty close to Cheltenham as well. A good day, obviously, in its own right. So looking forward to getting down to Gowran Park. And as you said, Basil, lots of clues early this week with the Gordon and Willie. Gordon's stable tour obviously went out in the Racing Post, an informative read. And there was a big day down at Willie's yesterday morning. And then we had all the trainers come in. It was a bit like a speed dating kind of setup for trainers and journalists. So we were just sat in a room at different tables, and all of a sudden Emmett Mullins was sitting beside you, or Danny Mullins was in beside you, or Michael O'Sullivan, or Mouse Morris was there as well. So it was kind of a cool thing that they did at Cheltenham, the Jockey Club, who organised this thing. So I'll hopefully be able to get out a few nuggets here now in the next few minutes of what I heard and what people are thinking and where horses are going. So, it was a good day.
Yeah, super. And of course, we've lots to review as well with, of course, the two Grade 2s that's on Saturday at Newbury. And we've plenty to review with, of course, Naas and Navan. Decent racing over the course of the last 7 days. And a little giveaway as well. A little bit of a teaser later on in the show. Of course, Jane Davis from Red Mills will be on the show on Thursday, building up to Red Mills Day. But a nice little giveaway that we will announce later on in the show. So stay tuned. And as always, give the video a thumbs up. Obviously, subscribe to the channel, because only 40% of our viewership this season, Ronan Groome, are actually subscribed to the show. So we got great response in the last week. We encourage you to keep subscribing. Make sure if you're watching the show, subscribe to the show and let us know your week 13 or episode 13 selections down in the comments below. And cannot wait, of course. And if you're going to Gowran Park, make sure and come up and say hello to us. Eddie sent us the running order, running the morning line show, building up to the days at 12:30 before racing. So it was brilliant on yesterday's day. We'll be doing the same again on Red Mills Day this Saturday, and lots to look forward to there. We've entries as well, so we'll discuss those a little bit later on in the Road to Cheltenham Challenge episode number 13. Right, takeaways, Ronan Groome. You're in the Lower Bagnall. First question I have for you: was it the Hereford steak, the sirloin, or was it the slow cooked lamb? Which did you go for?
No, I wasn't on the gravy train of all the British trainer or the journalists who were brought over and given a place to stay and flew over and back. Now the Irish lads now were second class citizens in this thing. I'm only joking, but no, I was only in and out for the speed dating part, and then I was off on my merry way back up the road to the Royal County. But plenty to take away, I suppose the main stuff was the Willie and Gordon stuff. Now the Gordon stuff and the Willie stuff is there for everyone to read already, so I'm not actually kind of breaking any news here. These were just my own takeaways from listening and reading to the two lads. Like, from Willie stuff, we might as well start off with the positive news. Basil is fact to file is a bit more likely, I suppose, to go for the Brown advisory. It seems like Willie wants to run him there. He's just kind of dependent on what the great man wants to do in the green and gold, whether, you know, where Corbett's Cross goes, etc., and what he has running there. But it seems if it was down to Willie, he would go for the Brown advisory. So that's a positive there. Gaelic Warrior was interesting as well. I don't know, did you see this? But it seems, I would just assume that he would go to Fairyhouse for the 2.5 miler there. But it seems like Willie is kind of open to just giving him time to see if he comes back to hand and possibly going to the Arkle, which is quite interesting. Thinks that running speed around the 2 miles there might just help him, even though that is right-handed. A lot of people just won't be able to back him now after the last day. But it's interesting that Willie hasn't given up on him. And the other two, a couple for handicaps from the Willies, I just thought this was interesting. Ethical Diamond. Willie was kind of saying, we're probably going to run out of time to run him again, get him qualified for the Boodles. But if he did manage to see Ethical Diamond show up somewhere, he was a real eye catcher at the Dublin Racing Festival. I implore anyone to go back and watch that again. So he might still have to just go for the triumph. He wouldn't be an absolute million there, to be honest with you. I wouldn't put anyone off backing him at a huge price, maybe on the exchange or whatever. And the other one was Sah Majestu, who was quite interested anyway. He beat Noble Yates. Willie seemed to be quite positive on him. Could go for the Martin Pipe or the Coral Cup, I suppose. The only thing of him is you obviously see what Noble Yates has done, but more importantly, the British handicapper has seen what Noble Yates has done. So Sam Majest might be negatively impacted by that, but that's quite interesting as well. Willie seemed to be quite warm on him. Gordon's stuff, I'll spin through that very quickly, Basil. I suppose the main news story out of it would have been Irish Point possibly going for a champion hurdle. Gordon seemed quite warm on that. Now, actually, I mentioned just talking to Emmett Mullins down in the Lord Bagnall yesterday, and I was asking him about Noble Yates going for the stairs, and kind of asking him, what would you fear most? Would Teahupo'o or Irish Point? And he said, emphatically said Irish Point, and I said, well, you know, Gordon's thinking about running him in the champion hurdle, and Emmett was like, oh, he won't be running. He's going to run him here. So that's interesting. 3-card Bragg. This is a bit of a hit to my thing, to my portfolio. Gordon's thinking about running him in the Irish National. Yeah, it's either going to be that or the National Hunt Chase. And he was more positive for Salvador Ziggy, who's a lovely profile for the National Hunt Chase as well. So that wasn't great to see that. Ashtree Meadow. Gordon's a big fan of her, but that's nothing new. Conflated going for the Ryanair, which is I'm quite positive about that. Firefox, obviously we know now, is out of the Barring Bingham, which is another blow to my portfolio. Going to go for the Supreme. Interesting, Gordon really likes this Staffordshire Knot, so he was one of the more expensive horses gone from the Caldwell dispersal, and he said basically, yeah, maybe, but he said he's going to run him again, I think, or wants to run him again. And if the horse was impressive there, then he'd look at something at the festival for him. So just keep an eye out on Staffordshire Knot for any entries in the coming weeks. But I'd heard off Joey Logan, actually, just speaking to him previously, that was one of the good Caldwell horses that they were really excited about. It was very impressive the last day. Went for 5.10, I think. 500,000. So that was a lot on hearsay as well, I suppose, or a lot of hype about him. He didn't have much actually in his form, but he was one of the more expensive or the more exciting Caldwell horses, and he could be at a festival as well if he proves himself next time out. So they're just what I took away from it. Did you see anything yourself that you were? Yeah,
I have a couple of printouts of the, I suppose, obviously today as well. You mentioned the JP McManus, Willie Mullins mentioned in relation to Fact to File. You know, it'll depend on what I suppose other runners JP has, and obviously Iroko left in the Turners today, and Corbett's Cross, very interestingly, left in one race, which is National Hunt Chase, and in my view, wouldn't at all surprise me if he didn't actually go to Cheltenham. Corbett's Cross obviously has that form linked in with 3-card Bragg. It comes quite close together as well, so could they be looking at something like an Irish National for him either? I wouldn't be nailing me colours to the mast with Corbett's Cross, but it looks like if he is going, obviously. I
can actually just quickly update you there, just coming in off that, Basil. Emmett said, speaking to him about Corbett's Cross, he needs to go and do another piece of work just to see he's okay after that little splash at Fairyhouse, and then he's going to basically make his plan from there. So maybe hold fire for a week or two, get the vibes about Corbett's Cross. But he basically then said, I just want to work him again, see how he comes through that piece of work, and then decide what he's going to do. So that might be of use to someone.
It was nice to hear Willie Mullins leaning towards the Brown advisory with Factifile. I think that's the route he's going to end up going around. I think the further they're going, the stronger he was looking. I get his speed, I get he jumps well, but I just think this horse is a monster. I think the Brown advisory looks tailor-made for him. So that was a takeaway. Obviously, the novice hurdlers, Ballyburn and Mystical Power. I thought a takeaway was he didn't commit with Ballyburn, and he left the option at the Ballymore wide open, really. And Mystical Power, he seemed to be leaning very much towards the Supreme and seemed very complimentary of Mystical Power. Fight and Talk, obviously, in relation to Stateman. We have a question later on in the show. I think there was a bit of a shake-up in the comments last week after our Stateman talk, but Willie Mullins very, very bullish. He does believe Stateman's a better horse this year, and the Constitution Hill camp have something to think about. So it was nice to hear a bit of Fight and Talk. And Maureen, of course, the relative of Faheen, I thought she looked maybe tailor-made for that entry bumper. I might skip Cheltenham, but he didn't rule out the champion bumper, and she could be one for the festival. I think on the exchanges she's top of the market now for the champion bumper. So I thought that was interesting. Salvador Mundi, I was interested to see the quotes there. Willie said if he can get a run, he's had a little bit of a setback, but if he can get a run into him, he will. And, we've seen Willie Mullins run newcomers in the Triumph Hurdle in recent seasons. So I'm not throwing that docket in the bin just yet, although Sergino's a fair detail. But this horse was second to him, wasn't beaten all that far in France. So it'll be interesting. Majborough. How complimentary is Willie Mullins about Majborough? A Gold Cup horse, he said, running a Triumph Hurdle. I think that's more or less the quote.
Yeah, well, he has the next few Gold Cups sorted, Willie, if you go by anything to think, because Factifile is probably going to be the one next year, and then Majborough is the one down the line after that. So JP and Willie must be set, but very, very complimentary on Majborough. Yeah, so very interested to see how he goes in the trial.
I thought of the Gordon Elliott, stable too. I thought it was fascinating. Phil Dore. Many people have put this horse up at big prices for the Ryanair. Looks wide open now. You mentioned Staffordshire not. Well, Phil Dore went for 640, I think, was it €1,000? Big fee for a horse that obviously still a young horse, winner of the Red Mills Hurdle last year at Gowran Park. I was looking at the entries to see would this horse maybe appear in the Red Mills Chase over the course in which he won at this exact same meeting last year. But Gordon did say yesterday that he'd go fresh to Cheltenham and was quite complimentary. And to be honest with you, of all the horses in that Ryanair market, I wouldn't be surprised if he halved in price. I mean, he's in around the 10-1 mark. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw 6 or 7-1, maybe even shorter on the day. I think he could take a bit of support, especially given the fact that he's decent form with El Fabiolo over from, of course, the Hilly Way earlier on in the season down in Cork. He's stepping up and tripping. He's unexposed there. Irish Point, you mentioned the champion hurdle. Chad, it'd be interesting to see how that develops. And he did give a positive mention to the Yellow Clay, who was a major eye catcher in the bumper. Not sure did you watch it back behind Jellico Mashin at Leopardstown. And he could be an interesting one at a big price for the champion bumper. But that is the bumper road. I'm not going to ask you any more about that. We've performances to rate this weekend or from the previous 7 days. And I've taken the top 3. Once again, you've been Scrooge of the show. You've come with a 2.5 rating on fun. Obviously, it wasn't that fun to watch for you.
Yeah, will I start off with her then?
Absolutely.
Yes, I'm nothing against the mare. I like her a lot. I think that form is not going to in the grand scheme of the mare's novice hurdle, which looks to be a bit of a cracker this year, and we'll get on to brighter days ahead after this. But what she achieved there compared to what brighter days ahead did in Navan, I was really impressed with her, and perhaps maybe that was the reason for the low rating. But she kind of had her own way in front over there in Exeter and picked up well and saw off the favourite, favouring Fortune, or the co-favourite even, but was getting lumps of weight, and I just think she falls probably a level below the I suppose the top 3 mares in the mare's novice hurdles. So maybe I'm a bit harsh there at all. But brighter days ahead, it was much more impressed by. Like she just snapped around Navan, didn't she? Really, she was traveling all over the place. Now, look, everything is context, and people will say the form isn't great, but like 1-2-8, Mel Monroe back in third, well put in her place. Henry's hurt the Pastorale thing that was second, that's unexposed, could be okay. And she's left them in the dust really here with
She'll have
minimum
no
fuss.
problem stepping back in trip either.
Yeah, she travels so well, you'd imagine so. But I suppose the big thing, and I've heard it mentioned a few times, is her jumping here was just so much better. And when people saw her at Down Royal earlier in the season, you know, the big thing with her was she was good, but she had scope to improve because she jumped kind of sketchy, you know. So you knew if they got that right, there was a lot more in her, and she showed that here, I suppose. And 12 seconds faster, I believe, than Hidden Valley Lake in the other grade 2 on the card, or the grade 2 on the card there. So that's significant. She'll come back and trip now, and we're both Jade de Gruchy fans, and very, very positive on her and what she's done so far. But I'd be fairly scared here now, Basil, with you, if she showed up. My only thing is, and I've seen it mentioned as well elsewhere, could she be a mare that goes for the Fairyhouse race instead? Fairyhouse is quite close to Brighter Days Ahead. I'm talking about here is quite close to Punchestown, and I wonder would they have half thinking of coming back for that race. That's a grade 1 as well. She wouldn't have to carry a penalty there either. I wonder, is that even an option for Jade de Gruchy? I hope not as well. But that's a grade 1 race. It's worth more money, I think, and it's closer to Cheltenham. You probably wouldn't have to take on the Cheltenham. Get a few of them under par or whatever. So I just wonder, is that an option? But you don't think so?
No, listen. Look, obviously this mare, she's 5-5. She's unbeaten now over hurdles running. She's unbeaten on the racecourse, should I say? And I think there was never going to be an issue with her stepping up in trip. And like what you said, like that was the big thing to take out of the performance, was how quick she was over. Not just how neat she was, but how quick she was over her hurdles. So she was making ground at every single one of them. So stepping back in trip, for me, it's A versus B in the Mayor's Novices hurdle. It's going to Ireland. We were asked earlier on in the series, you know, what was maybe the horse you wanted to take on at a short price. I said Dice Ardino, simply because the quality of the Irish mares here. I'd still be with Jade de Gruchy, but this is a fair detail now. And look, she was given £5 to decent enough mares, I think it's fair to say. And she's won by 12 lengths, you know, barely coming off the bridle. Jerry Hannon's commentary was excellent as well. So we'll give him a 4.5 star maybe for the commentary at the finish. But yeah, absolutely. I would have 4 stars. Hard to give her any more than that, given, I suppose, the quality of the opposition. But she's done it as well as she's done it as well as she could do, really. And, you know, Gordon did mention as well, Ronan, that she had niggly issues since Down Royal. So it was lovely to see her, you know, rock up here and put in a performance like that. And, you know, no doubt she's going to improve as well going to Cheltenham. So Shishkin, 3 stars. Have to agree with you. I thought it was underwhelming.
It was grand, is what it was, and probably more negative than when you say something's grand and it's than you're positive, I suppose. He jumped well enough, I suppose. He came off you're probably slightly worried turning for home. He was getting a bit of the hurry up, and Protectorate was in front, and Hitman was coming there, travelling well. Now Hitman wouldn't be the most resolute, and no surprise to see him not really kind of put it all in late on. But Shishkin went away and won well enough, but you'd expect him to win like that. You know, he was odds on, and he was, what did he go off in the end? Maybe shade of odds on, like I can't recall, but a big factor in that was whether he'd jump off or not. So his true price in the race is probably something closer to, you know, 2 to 5 or something like that, because he was well in hand of these horses. And I'd say, looking at a Protectorate, probably was running 20 days after he'd run at Lingfield. Might have been feeling the effects of that. Maybe didn't see his race as well as he could. And Shishkin has basically beaten the 152 rated Hitman there, like he should be, to be honest. And I just can't see it. He's a 10-year-old now. We know how difficult it is for horses of that age to win a Gold Cup. And I just don't see where this big 175 performance is coming from, which is what he'd need at least. And that still mightn't be good enough to beat Gallopin the Champ if he's at his best. So I just can't see it, to be honest, Shishkin for the Gold Cup.
Yeah, I think I've made it known, and I have this theory about Shishkin that he's a much better horse on nicer ground. And I suppose the Bear former, the Bear's figures maybe wouldn't suggest that. I mean, he won a Supreme Novices hurdle on really testing ground. It was soft ground on that occasion. He was pulled up in the champion chase. I didn't feel as though he was ever going. Obviously, he was, something else came to light. But I always think his best performances are on nicer ground, Roland. I'm not sure really whether you'll agree with that, but he seemed to be running in snatches a little bit, made a bad mistake 6 from home, had to be shaken up coming to 5 out, and seemed to latch back on the bridle when Protectorat, I think in truth, stopped in front. He was going backwards. Shishkin just arrived there, he obviously arrived there full of running, coming to 3 out. He's jumped to the front probably plenty soon for Shishkin. He likes one to aim at. And I thought it was an okay performance, but beaten Hitman, by 4 lengths. I don't think that's Gold Cup winning form. So, I would be very much in agreement. 3-star rating on Shishkin after the weekend. A little bit underwhelming, I think it's fair to say. Yeah, so moving on, I've given Edward Stone a 5-star rating, Ronan, and I have a real feeling, we didn't discuss this, that you're going to really disagree with this one, but I'm going to be generous to him. I think it was a really, really good performance. And how he ran them absolutely ragged. When I say he ran them, he obviously only had 4. 2 of the 4 finished. Boot Hill, his main market, his main rival in the contest, fell 2 out. He was well beaten, but to me, it was a really good performance by Edward Stone. The change of tactics, I love the way he travelled and the way he jumped. In particular, those 5 fences down the back, the way he took them on. He wasn't just neat, but he was very, very aggressive and he attacked his fences. I like to see that. He seemed to really enjoy himself. He pinged 4 out. I thought the performance was up there on a par with his Tingle Creek performance from last year. RPRs, I think there was only £1 in the difference. He put up an RPR of 170. Alan King made reference, didn't he, afterwards to the change in training regime. I think I actually called Alan and was hoping to get him on the podcast, and he was away on holidays back in January time, and he said he will do it. So hopefully we might be able to get Alan King in the coming weeks on the show. But he was on holidays, and I thought that was strange because Edward Stone was running in the Tingle Creek on the same weekend, and it was just interesting to hear him commenting afterwards, saying that he was contemplating life, wondering why his horses maybe weren't running to form around January time, and his stable's going really well now. 3 up the hill, he put it down to. So he's obviously changed the training regime, and I would be very interested, Ronan, to see, would you take me on a match bet with John Bon in the champion chase? Because I don't think he'll beat out Fabiolo, but I'd have him ahead of John Bon on that performance.
If you give me even money each or 2, I'll take you on. Yeah, no problem. But
do you think I'm slow?
Yeah, I think you'd be wanting a few lengths in a handicap there, I'd say. But look, I was good to see it, and good to see him back to his best, I suppose. I thought he was good as well. Interesting that he went out from the front. I'm not sure could they replicate that sort of thing in the champion chase, but he could at least run prominently and go at his own pace and see how he gets on. He's a 10-year-old now, but he looked as good as ever there now, you have to say, really. Obviously disappointing in the race last year, the champion chase. Don't know what went wrong there. Possibly doesn't stay the 2.5 miles, is too free there. I'd say that's more of a positive now from as a 2-miler. I think the 2-milers are so speciality, really, that that's just what they can do. They're class over 2 miles, and then when you go up and trip, that just blunts them completely. So I'd nearly say it's more of a positive for his champion chase thing that he maybe didn't see at the trip at the 2.5 miles and back over the 2 miles at Newbury. He's obviously back to his best. So good to see it, and definitely another string to the bow of the champion chase, which is no harm. It was a match race, seen as a match race, I suppose, before that race, but he definitely looks as something of a player here now, and I suppose like people will want to take on El Fabiolo with his jumping and at his price with his jumping, and that gives you another kind of arrow to aim at him. So yeah, good to see.
Well, he's 8-1. I suppose, look, if anyone wants a filthy, muggy, dirty each way bet, I mean, look, the race is going to cut up. Will you even have 6 runners in the race? He's 8-1. I'd fancy him to finish ahead of John Bon. And I think in terms of each way bets, look, the only way El Fabiola loses is if he puts in, a clanger and tips up, because I think he's easily £10 better than the rest here. Might not suggest that on official ratings, Ronan, but I genuinely think he is. And I think Edward Stone certainly in the mix, as Alan King has suggested, and I will be very interested in a match bet against John Bunn. Anyone that's willing to lay me a decent price. Allegory de Vassy. 3 stars, underwhelming, Ronan. I think the front two softened each other up front, and the race set up for Allegory de Vassy. She was terrible over the first 5 fences. She was jumping out to her right. She was spending time in the air. I think Willie Mullins made reference to it. He made reference to it in the aftermath that, he wasn't entirely sure that she was going. She was on a going day because she, it was obviously different tactics. Paul Townend has given her a very confident ride, and coming to the last, I don't know, did you think he was riding Frankel, but he certainly looked like he had fuller running, and she came home nicely in the end. But I just put it there. Look, she was given £7 at Fairyhouse. She's bombed out completely on that occasion to Riviere de Tel, and she was only given £2 at the weekend. And look, she's reversed that by 37 lengths. She didn't put in her true running, obviously, at Fairyhouse, but I just couldn't trust her, Ronan. I know you have her in the team sheet. For me, in terms of a mare's chase, the more I look at the race and the more I try to find one, I just think it's quite simple. I think Dana Blue wins the mare's chase.
Possibly could be that simple. She does have to prove she stays or can be as effective over the 2.5 mile trip. And maybe I'm looking at it with a more positive hat on, because I got Allegory de Vassy way back when we started the series. It was my first selection. Got her in the team, and obviously she disappointed since, but she was, that was a big improvement from what she did at Christmas, where she was an absolute no-show at Fairyhouse on New Year's Day. I take your point. I think the race probably set up for her. I think Willie felt the same, and she's come home well. But she's travelled well into the race. If they went fast over 2 miles, she's a mare that stays further. She could have been easily got outpaced here and just got out of her way completely, but she was able to travel into the race, and she put it away easily enough, the opportunity that was presented to her. So would I be backing her for the mare's chase now? No, probably not. But is she alive for me in the series? She is. So I'll take anything I can get now, Basil, to be honest with you.
Yeah, we'll be looking at our full portfolios very, very shortly. The last one to mention, of course, from the weekend, with Ben Pauling, of course, on the Thursday show last week. So he was given, I suppose, an initial reaction to Handstand's victory in the Sydney Banks, which is a race, Ronan Groome, obviously won by Shishkin before he went on to win the Supreme Novices Hurdle, but tends to favour those middle distance novice hurdlers. We've seen Vindication win the race in the past. We've seen some nice winners of the race. It was obviously a listed event at Huntington. I thought he was entitled to win, to be honest with you. There was plenty of cash about for him. He was getting £5 off Django Bay, who obviously had won a grade 1, obviously, at Aintree prior, but he settled much better than Nicky's horse Handstands. He's obviously now, he remains unbeaten. He's 3 from 3 over hurdles. He's progressing nicely. Ben Pauling had some positive words to say about the horse. 3.5-star rating. It's going to be a big step up against the Irish novices at the Ankidley Park, hopefully, in the Ballymore. But that's the route he's going to be going. He wasn't doing a tap when he got to the front. There's definitely room for improvement in the jumping stakes, but I like the way he settled, and I like the way he moved through the race. He was going very strongly 3 out, had to be shaken up a little bit. And it was interesting, Harry Cobden's comments afterwards. He said, obviously, he's a lovely horse, but hasn't got the speed for a Supreme, and doesn't want to slog in an Albert Barton. Now, those comments would be a worry for me, because I think a good novice would be comfortable over any trip. Thoughts?
Yeah, no, possibly. I had to go back and watch the race, Basil. I missed this completely. And when you think so he could be okay. And I thought he did it well enough without being that. I'm not sure the form of the race is amazing, to be honest with you. Willing to see how you get on there, but look, he did it well enough, and we'll see how he goes.
Absolutely. Well, we'll be back with Tracker Horses, big questions, and of course Portfolio Spotlight after this.
Granger and Patrick Mullins.
McGree had justified favouritism, but sharp object out in front, being ready for John McConnell and Alex Harvey.
Western Victory, Silver Lark. That'll be the finishing order.
Yes, where we will be as snug as a bug in a rug, Ronan Groome, for the rest of the episode, because the good people of Red Mills have sent us some merchandise ahead of the weekend and a competition for the viewers, of course, to get involved in for a chance to win a jacket, a Red Mills hat, to be all set, of course, for Red Mills Day at the weekend. And, of course, it was brilliant. Well, Jane Davis will be on the show on Thursday as well, but a chance to get involved. 2 ways to get involved. We'll announce the winner on Friday. But, Ronan Groome, you have to comment down below your selection for the this year's edition of the Red Mills Hurdle and the Red Mills Chase. Obviously, give us your name and give us your location that you're commenting from, and we will announce a winner on Friday afternoon. Yeah, special mention to the feed man as well, Brian Doyle, Red Mills truck. Look at that fine looking truck, Ronan Groome. It's been all around the country for as long as I can remember, delivering the Red Mills feed. And yeah, all around County Kildare, County Meath. He ventures into your neck of the woods, Ronan Groome. So big shout out to Brian Doyle, Trojan work, as he calls himself, the feed man. Took a good couple of spins in that truck once upon a time, Ronan. Goes to, of course, Barry Connell, Tony Martin, Jessica Harrington. And yeah, well, big shout out to the feed man himself, Brian Doyle. The truck is looking well, and the merchandise, Ronan Groome, is looking even better.
Looks very sharp now, Basil. Yeah, it's as sharp as I've seen you look in a while anyway. That wouldn't be hard, says you.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you now. If I last the episode in this, we'll be doing well. We're not in the Alps, Ronan Groome. We're in Dundalk. It's not quite as chilly as the Swiss Alps. I'm not going skiing like you do every January. Okay, let's move on. Tracker horse, Ronan Groome. What did you go with this week?
Galvin, I went for. I thought this was very, very good back in the race that Gordon Elliott basically uses as his cross country prep race. He was a 25-1 shot there, but he was actually only beaten 5 lengths in the end by the good winner Hidden Valley Lake. I thought this was pretty positive now on ground. He probably wouldn't have been absolutely in love with either. So I thought I was, it's been a long time now since I had a bet on the cross country, and I was close enough to putting him up as my selection this week, but I didn't go for him in the end. But I'd be very positive on him going to Cheltenham now. I know Delta Work was in the race as well and probably didn't run as well, and he's going for the 3 wins in the race in the cross country now. And different horses need different types of runs. I suppose Delta Work always needed a run, didn't he? So maybe he might come on a bit more, but Galvin now is very positive on him. So yeah, very pro him for the cross country.
Yeah, well, I got another Gordon Elliott horse. I'm going to Navan at the weekend as well. And it was in the very first race, the 145 at Navan at the weekend, a race won by Helvic Dream for Noel Meade. And second, to me, look, the winner all over. Halved in price before the off 14s into 7-1. Jack Kennedy on board. Had 2 runs in the point-to-point prior. The horse was called Angostura. I thought travelling to the last, kind of got bumped out of it with a furlong to race as well. Took a bit of it, so it was hampered slightly in running. Helvic Dream had a cleaner run, and the further Helvic Dream was going, the better I thought he was going. What's the old cliche, Ronan? Stare on the flat, stare over hurdles. The winner is a good horse. He was rated 105, should I say, on the flat. He had a little bit of experience. This was Angostura's very first run. I thought he was a nice type, this 5-year-old son of Molinas, and I would say he'll have no trouble winning a maiden and could be a nice horse for the spring. So Angostura is my tracker horse for this week. Andy Woolrich from Staffordshire in England has obviously been keeping his portfolio up to date. Let's go through the selections quickly, Ronan. Found a 50 after the Turner's Novices Chase. Gordon has said he's going to the Arc, and I didn't see whether he's left in the Turners today, but to me, he jumps out to his right, Ronan. That'd be a worry no matter where he goes around Cheltenham. So we'll move on to Majborough. 16-1 for the Triumph. He was in early. This horse has halved in price. I think he's 8-1 now for the Triumph. I think he's going to run a massive race, and I think that's a good price. Would you agree?
That's a good price, and you're probably doing him a bit of service on Found a 50. He's got 20-1 about him for the Arkle. He's definitely not a 20-1 shot now.
In for the Turners, Ronan. He's put him in for the Turners.
Oh, he's put him. Oh, apologies. So yeah, well then it could be 200-1 for the Turners then in that case, because I don't think he's going to go there. Majborough for sure. And I'm sure Andy Woolrich, listening to Willie Mullins wax lyrical about the Gold Cup potential of this horse, he'd be absolutely rubbing his hands together. So you definitely could see him going close in a Triumph for sure.
Heck, I do to bear.
She's gone, isn't she? She's not coming back for the mares, is she?
Yeah, no, she's injured. So that was a really good selection at the time. And I reckon if she was going to Cheltenham, and we probably would have seen her had another run by now. I reckon she was definitely lining up at a single figure price, and she was going to have a good chance in that. Ashrow Diamond, she's in your team, Roland, 8-1. Again, another cracking selection. That's halved in price.
Yeah, much better price than me. So well done there, Andy. And I still think Ashrow Diamond's got a chance. I'd be taking on Lossie Mouth of all the kind of odds-on shots now. I think she could be most vulnerable. I think she's a bit gassy already, and over 2.5 miles. I'll be willing to take her on.
Yeah, conflated for the cross-country chase. The new revelation is Cocoa Beach. Apparently he loves the banks these days, but conflated is going elsewhere, it sounds, by listening to and hearing the stable tour from Gordon Elliott. Ile Atlantique, 16-1 for the Ballymore. Again, a double figure price. That's going to go off single figures, and again, that's another cracking price at least.
Yeah, well, that's the basis of all Ante-Post betting, to get them to go off shorter prices. It seems like he's going to go for the Ballymore. I took a chance on him for the Supreme. It seems like Willie wants to go for the Ballymore now. So, yeah, definitely in with a shout there. Stage
Star, 7-1. I'd say it probably will be shorter on the day as well. Wouldn't be without his chance if he returned to the form that he showed earlier on this season, and of course in the Turners last year. 7-1, that looks a good price. Croke Park, 16-1 for the Albert Bartlett. I'd be surprised if he went off shorter, would you?
I wouldn't be absolutely over the moon. I wouldn't be. It wouldn't be hugely surprised me, to be honest. He's a big talking horse, isn't he? What did you call him? The future.
He's the captain of the Ward Hunt Union.
The Ward Hunt Union, yeah. So it wouldn't surprise me. I'd say he's a horse for fences next year, so maybe hurdles just might catch him out in something like the Albert Bartlett. So another decent enough show. He's got
I'd be surprised.
Portfolio so far.
I'd be surprised if he won another graded race over hurdles. He's a chaser, staying handicap chaser of the future, Croke Park. Fantastic looking horse, but yeah, and I'd say he'd want really testing ground as well. Jade the Grugy, week number 9, 8-1. That's a cracking selection. We're both on at 10s. So congratulations there, Andy. This is a good looking portfolio. Chianti Classico, 14-1 for the Ultima. I can definitely see the angle here. Kimberley has Trelawn as well. Likes to have a fancied one in the Ultimate. So it seems to be a race he targets every year. So I suppose we're going to start delving into those handicap markets very soon, Ronan. But I've seen this mentioned by more than just Andy, and I can definitely see the logic here.
Yeah, another race now I've got stuck into yet. As I said, I wait till the weights come out to really have a look at the handicaps. So we'll be dealing with that in future, I'd say.
Yeah, and we'll move on with Dino Blue, 6-4 for the Mayor's Chess. He must have been struggling for a selection that week, but look, it's probably just. I think she'll end up being one of the bankers of the week. I'm struggling to see a mare at this point in time that has better form that can beat her in that race. So I'd say she's close enough to banker material. I wouldn't be surprised if she goes off a shade of odds on, looking at how the race might cut up. Embassy Gardens as a captain, I don't know. Disappointed there last year. His jumping is brilliant. He's definitely improved for a fence. I don't know if I could trust him at Cheltenham based on his form last year. The Yellow Clay, we've given him a mention already, Roland. 14-1 for the Champion Bumper. I thought it was a major eye catcher, and I thought he was full value for where he finished in that. I think it was grade 2 bumper at Leopardstown, the Dublin Racing Festival.
Yeah, I agree. And that race has become a good trial for the Champion Bumper. Kind of gathers all the best bumper horses together in Ireland. And he was mullered there twice. He definitely should have finished a lot closer. So I think he's definitely a player as well.
Are you pretending to have an interest in bumpers? Just a quick mention for Jack Cantwell and the lads as well, Roland, before we move on to the next section. €50 off your first share today if you want to get involved, of course, in racehorse ownership. Chance to get to the big days. Obviously, we've seen Cabaret Queen, Grand G. Obviously, was a fantastic horse for connections, and there's some really nice young stock as well to get involved in. Cabaret Princess was recommended, of course, by Jack when he was on the show. All you have to do to get €50 off your very first share with Syndicates.Racing is head to the checkout, pick your horse, obviously, and put into the discount bar there. Champ, all caps, hit apply to get that €50 off your first share with Syndicates.Racing. So all the big names of the Irish and English trading ranks involved, Gordon Elliott, Willie Mullins, Henry the Bromhead, Joseph O'Brien, the list goes on. So, Roland, it's nearly time for our selections for episode number 13. We're getting there. 4 weeks to the Cheltenham Festival, and we'll give our selections after this. Yes, and we look forward to seeing everyone down on Red Mills Day, of course, the 17th. The 17th, of course, this Saturday upcoming at Gowran Park. So if you're down there, come up and say hello. And just a shout out to a Cheltenham preview night that we're doing. Of course, we're involved in the Red Lion pub, of course, in Bagnallstown on Friday night, the night before Red Mills Day. Myself, David Mullins, and Michael O'Sullivan will be in the Red Lion pub, of course, in Bagnallstown, like we were last year, previewing, of course, the Cheltenham Festival, probably one of the earlier Cheltenham preview nights rolling, and it's in aid of the Bagnallstown Pitch and Putt Club. So anyone that wants to drop in, get your tickets, €10, and you will see full details up on screen. Right, Ronan, selection number 13 for the challenge, as I always do. I give you the honour.
Yeah, I'm gone with Conflated off the back of this news for the Ryanair chase. Getting him enhanced up to 9-1 is just short of market best out there, so I think that's a good price. I suppose people will look at him and think unseated to last twice, not a great looking profile, but he was banging contention. I know he wasn't going to win there. And in the Savills and Irish Gold Cup, but he was about to run two really, really solid races. And when you combine that with his finish to finish third up in Down Royal earlier in the season, when he was in around Jerry Colombe and Envoy Allen there, who obviously leads the market for the Ryanair, I think there's a lot to be said for him coming back down and trip for the Ryanair. Obviously, he was third in the Gold Cup last year. That was a really, really good run under an inexperienced jockey in Sam Ewing. And he was second, or he was going to be second in the Ryanair chase the year before when he was trying to chase down the runaway train that is Allaho. I just think he's a real classy type on his day. And I like the profile of horses coming back down and trip for the Ryanair, showing better form at the more traditional trips as well. That's a trend that I kind of followed listening to. I tip my cap to Matt Toombs, who I'm a big fan of on Twitter. He's very good with the trends and stuff. But one of his things for the Ryanair is to take a second look at the horses that are coming down and trip, because often the middle distance trips that the Ryanair is over, the form just isn't as strong. And when you have the Gold Cup kind of division coming back and trip, so Conflated I think fits that bill, and I think the connections have seen a bit of sense here. He's still classy enough to be running in these types of races, these grade ones, rather than going down the cross-country route. So I'm glad to see him getting another spin, and I just thought 9-1 was a decent enough nick for him in a race. Ryanair that probably isn't the strongest compared to previous renewals.
Yeah, it's interesting because he was probably the main eye catcher, wasn't he, in the Gold Cup last year? Kind of got mullered coming, turning for home, and stepping back in trip. Obviously, ran well in the race before. I'm sure Gigginstown would love to have a winner of the Ryanair chase, and yeah, could be life in the old dog yet, Ronan Groome. And it's 9-1 is a fair looking price in an open looking race. I think it's fair to say. I'm sticking with the team. I'm going with Gordon Elliott's, and I'm going with the National Hunt Chase. It's been the tried and tested route for 4 of the last 9 seasons anyway, Ronan. He's won 4 of the last 9 renewals of this race. And I think the horse to mention is Salvador Ziggy. You've mentioned him. I think he's a lovely profile for the race. And I think we're still just about getting double figures here. 10-1. Look, I just think he's a lovely profile for the race. He jumps very, very well. He's had 4 starts over fences. He was second, of course, in the Pertemps hurdle at Cheltenham last year over the 3 miles. Clearly stays well. And his record fresh is very, very good. We're sticking with the Gordon Elliott team. We're sticking with the Fresh Angle team. And I just think double figures about this horse. I think he's likely to be Gordon's number 1 hope for the race. You mentioned 3-card Bragg. The interesting comments, will he go for the Irish Grand National? The best form that Salvador Ziggy has, and I think it arguably sets the standard in this particular race. I mean, he ran second in the Kerry National back at the beginning of the season on his first start in a handicap. And, he's rated 153. I think that's a really good level of form here. And he's, open to much more improvement. He jumps really well. I think that's fair to say. He's obviously been to America. That's the one negative I can find. He's been to America, went off favourite and didn't run a good race over 2.5 miles, but he's been given time to recover. This is the target race. Gordon obviously positive about him in the stable tours. And I think he could be Gordon's number 1 hope. The better the ground, Gordon did say, the better his chance. But it was soft ground in the Pertemps last year, and he's finished second. He's run an absolute cracker, and he ran into one who I can tell you was very well handicapped in Good Time Johnny. So, 10-1. I think looks a fair price, and you can avail of that over on the Boylesports website if you want to follow us in. Now, obviously, the link is in the description. You will see it down below, and you can get involved in Salvador Ziggy. The other negative to mention, Ronan Groome, I think his owners are from Laois, but we won't hold that against them. Obviously, to date, let's run through them very, very quickly. I suppose Willmount took a hit. Mr. Policeman took a hit. Hackney the Bird took a hit for myself. T. Huppu, positive in the stable tours. Only by Night still has that entry, of course, in the Mayor's Novice. Faster, Slow, looking good. Back to File, looking good. Lecky Watson wasn't mentioned in the tours, but he's going straight to Cheltenham to the Bartlett. Gidley Park, 14-1 for the Ballymore. I still hope this is the race he'll go to. Jade de Grugy, 10-1. Probably the best selection from both of us to date. She's obviously clear favourite now for the Mayor's Novice. Salvador Mundi still holding on to the docket just barely for the Triumph Hurdle. Maybe we'll see him. Maybe he'll go straight there and have his first run for Willie in the race. Envoy Allen 5-1 for the Ryanair Rock Solid. And Salvador Ziggy 10-1. Ronan Groome, talk us through your selections.
Avlagori Devas is just about alive. Gaelic Warrior clinging on. Look to the west is more or less dead. I don't think she'll run. Sorry, the horse isn't dead, just the bet is dead. And Firefox is definitely a dead bet. He's going for the Supreme, taking out the Ballymore today. Gentleman's Game got an outside chance in the Gold Cup, wouldn't give up on him. Mighty Bandit's probably going to run in a Triumph, but it'll be a lot bigger price. Fact to File, if he goes to the Brennan Advisory, he's going to be probably something like 6-4, 7-4, that sort of thing. So hopefully he does. 3-car Bragg will definitely be short than 18-1 if he goes for the National Hunt Chase, but not sure. There's a bit of a question mark over that. Edith Atlantique, that's a dead bet for the Supreme. Goes for the Barring Bingham. Jade de Grugy, as you said, 10-1 is a very good price, and I think she'll probably just about go off favour from Brighter Days Ahead. Astro Diamond, I think, has a good chance in the Mayor's Hurdle. Nürburgring I'm sure, will go off short in 21 if they get him to the Triumph Hurdle. And Conflated, as I said, might be a little bit of juice in the price there.
Yeah, if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please do so. Hit the button down below, give the video a like. We look forward to Thursday's show, of course, which will be building up to Red Mills Day at Gowran Park this weekend. And I suppose, Ronan Groome, we have 7. It was a question by Russell Staunton just before we finish up in relation to the portfolios down below for people updating. Your captain is a separate selection. So we're on episode number 13 now. This is our 13th selection. We still both have to play our captains. It's a 2-pointer. So we've 7 standard selections left, and we also have our captain as well. So 8 selections still left to play, Ronan Groome. 4 weeks to Cheltenham. We'll get the episodes in, and we look forward to, on the 20th of February as well, those entries for the handicaps. So lots happening. Anything else to mention before we let you go?
No, looking forward to the Red Mills preview now on Tuesday, going down to Gowran Park on Saturday as well to cover it for the Irish Fields. So I'll be on the preview there as well, as you said. So looking forward to it.